to be honest, I'm surprised there haven't been more symptoms.
Would loss of sight in one eye be a symptom?
Possibly.
And temporary paralysis?
Definitely.
There might have been some symptoms before today.
Why wouldn't you get those checked out?
He sent me to Jenny Craig.
Oh my God. Dad, temporary paralysis?
I thought it was a weight thing.
It seems like you guys have some stuff to work out.
What is with you and Dad?
He fired me, John.
I didn't even know you were working for him.
Yeah, you should really call more.
What's this?
Ice cream and pretzels, one of my mom's favorite things.
Hey, how about heart attacks? Is that one of her favorite things too?
You have a problem with me?
Why does your mom's nurse hate you?
He's married to Gwen.
Gwen, you're Gwen.
Wow, you look beautiful. But I don't feel anything for her anymore, okay? You have an amazing looking child. I mean, she just had a baby, for God's sake.
Oh.
No, that's not what I meant.
Put your dreams away for now.
How's Rebecca?
She's good.
Mom said things haven't been great. Is that why you're not gonna get married?
Hi.
Is this a dream?
No.
I like Rebecca. She's pushy.
Yeah.
Men need to be pushed.
What are you doing?
I agreed to the divorce. I didn't agree to some strange man hanging around my daughters.
Okay. What is it?
John, get down. What? He's at the window.
Oh my God, mine doesn't work.
What?
Mine doesn't work.
Don't grab.
My seat doesn't work. My seat is coming. He's coming.
Lost in my mind. Lost in my mind. Oh, I get lost in my mind.
Honestly, with everything you've been going through, I can't even tell if you want to have a baby at all. Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
We're having twins.
And you're terrified.
Oh, I get lost.
Is she okay?
Crying's actually like good for kids' lungs. It makes them strong or something.
Well, I don't think that's true.
How'd you get Quinn to stop crying?
Oh, I didn't. John did it.
Oh.
You hungry?
Starving?
Yeah, let's eat.
Okay, great.
Okay, kiddo. That's bedtime for you. Are you kidding me?
Wow, you would think you guys were popular or something. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I know, you guys are all here for me, right? I knew it. Backstage, I just saw you guys as if it was a family reunion back there. Tell me about being in this cast. It seems like you guys got pretty close.
Yeah, we're pretty close. It is a family. John sent pictures to all of us of Richard, who plays my husband, and the boys and me as a family photo that we did. Oh, I forgot. Here.
Don't you
My
remember
voice-
your pop
my
star
voice
days?
carries.
This is how you hold a mic.
And I have it up in my daughter's room because Bill said, "Who is that group of people?" I said, "Well, that's my movie family."
I was not married at the time, and one day Richard Jenkins and I, because we shot the movie in small little towns around the South, and so we went off exploring, just him and I. And we had this whole conversation. I've never had this with an actor before. He literally gave me like the fatherly talk about why I should get my shit together, if you'll excuse me, and marry this woman. And we had a whole conversation, and eventually when I then got engaged, like a year later, and I sent him an email, and I was like, "Hi, fake dad. I finally tied the knot." And he's like, "Fake son, well done. I'm so proud of you. Love, fake dad."
Thanks, Dad. Want to be my best man? Yeah. And John, of course, congrats on not only being married to Emily Blunt and just having a brand new baby. Big accomplishment there.
That is legitimately my greatest achievement, and I'm okay saying that.
Aw, that's so sweet. But you nabbed a great cast for this movie, and I know you're in it, but you also directed it. So talk about kind of compiling everybody to be in the film.
Well, for me, I think it was, I remember watching some documentary like a nerd, and Martin Scorsese said 90% of your job as a director is getting the right cast, and I knew that that's what I had to do with this movie, but to me, it was just a no-brainer. Margo was the first person I thought of for this. Margo and I met about 16 years ago doing my first job ever was a Marshalls commercial. Yep. Very, very reasonably priced handbags. And so we met back then, and I've been following Margo through. Have you done anything good since?
She hasn't done anything.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
I haven't
love
seen
Marshalls.
you in anything in a while.
No. And she's won no awards since. I think she made her Emmy into a phone, and when I called her, she picks up the Emmy as a phone. But no, I think for me, getting someone like Margo was the most important thing first, because that part, the part of the mother in this movie, is so vital and huge to the whole story. And then, not joking around, Richard Jenkins, who I asked to be in the movie, wrote me an email and said, yeah, I love the script. If you get Margo, I'll do it. And I thought he was kidding, and he was definitely not kidding. So I went and got Margo Martindale, which got me Richard Jenkins. And then Sharlto, I honestly have not really ever seen performances like I saw in District 9. I thought he was so unbelievable and have wanted to work with him forever. And then when you see him in this movie, I think the #1 comment is like, that's the dude from District 9? So that just shows you how good an actor he is. And then everybody else, Anna Kendrick, who's in it, is phenomenal. And everybody, and Charlie Day and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Randall Park's amazing in it. Josh Groban's in it. He's fantastic.
I saw you tweeted to somebody, you were like, yes, Josh Groban is in the movie.
Yeah, because somebody was like, he's not on the poster. And I was like, hold on, don't start a riot. Just let me tell you, he is in the movie.
So did you film this before your lip sync battle with Anna Kendrick, correct?
I know we had just filmed it and then went and did our lip sync battle, yeah. Our legendary lip sync battle. Damn right.
Okay.
No one has worn that much fringe. And I'm talking about me. Isn't that weird?
I have to see this.
I don't know about this.
Let's go to a clip. No, I'm just kidding. Do not go to a clip.
I don't think many people realize that you kind of helped create Lip Sync Battle.
Yes, believe it or not, it was my idea driving with my wife and Stephen Merchant. We were driving home from someplace, and I was about to go on Jimmy Fallon's show. And he said, what do you want to do on the show? And I said, oh man, what should we do? And I said, what if we did this thing like 8 Mile, but we lip synced? And Stephen Merchant was like, well, let's give it a shot right here in the car. And so we all started battling in the car, and we're dying laughing. I just imagine people driving by us looking at us like, and they were like, I think those people are having a heart attack in that car. But nope, we were creating an amazing show. Yeah.
And I mean, it's so surprising that you're an actor, but then you are behind the scenes on a lot of projects like Promised Land, Lip Sync Battle. You're directing this, producing this. You also produced Manchester by the Sea, which was another Sundance hit. Tell me about balancing acting with all of that. And I want to know how you guys felt about John being a director on this project.
Oh, God. As far as balancing, for me, it's one of those things where, to be honest, very simply, I'm living a lottery ticket life, and I know that. And so I was a waiter before I got the office, and my production company is actually called Sunday Night because on Sunday nights, the only thing you don't get to do as a working actor is act. So you're doing too many other jobs. So we would meet on Sunday night and talk about any play we had seen or book we had read or movie we loved because it was the only time we could talk about things creatively. And so I named my company that and started doing all this stuff because I knew that if any of my friends that were coming up with me had the opportunities that I've had, that they'd want to do as much as they could with it too. So I'm just trying to keep that light lit, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, edit it out. Oh, it's live. Great.
It's live. Great. So do you think of him as a director, and tell us about his process, because I'm curious as...
God, I hope the answer is yes after you did a movie
You're
with
going to
me.
be like, he's horrible.
Yeah, he's good.
He was more relaxed. He was way more relaxed than I thought he was going to be, because directing, really takes it out of guys. I've seen guys, especially when you get towards the end of the film and they really start to, you see it like physically on the director's face a lot of the time. This is the first time that I'd worked with an actor and director in my life and in my career. So I thought, I wonder how this is going to go. Like, you've heard horror stories from guys who sort of did it once and then didn't want to do it again for like 10 years. So I thought, this is going to be tough, man. And, he started all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I thought by the end, I sort of had a secret bet with myself. I'm like, surely by the end he's going to rock up and just be like, guys, okay, just do. And he was so calm. I don't know how you were so calm.
Drugs, a lot of drugs.
And it really was. And it was very different from working with other directors, because he is an actor. So his process, in my experience, was a very, sort of very effortless. He just sort of let you do your thing.
Yeah, he created an atmosphere that was incredibly filled with trust and honesty, and he has great vision, and he is very clear about what he wants, and it was seamless going from director to actor back to director. John is spectacular as a director, and I do think that actors make the best directors. I really do.
That was insanely nice. And they both got their FedEx packages with a lot of money in it just before this. Just before this. Good.
Yeah, I just did that to boost your self-esteem a little bit, you know?
Thank you very much.
What's the secret to directing yourself, though? That has to be tricky.
You know what? It's weird, especially for this movie. It was extremely helpful, bizarrely, because I think that I was in the scene with them, and so I think a lot of what makes decisions as an actor the same as making good decisions as a director is whether or not you feel it. It's just that simple. And so, to me, being next to them and having them do all the incredible work that they were doing, if I was starting to feel emotional in the scene, I knew that as long as I had placed the camera in the right place, we were getting really good stuff. So I tried not to call cut all that often. I tried to do longer takes so that we could have a conversation at the end of the take and just say, do you want to try it again? This part was really fun. Maybe we could try this. And I always loved, they always had great ideas and great line changes and things like that. And so we always kind of, it almost felt more like a play, I think, for me. Because I think, you know, in the middle of doing a very emotional scene, especially all the stuff that Margo was doing, I think having someone yell cut and then run back and then come back 15 minutes later it sort of ruins the vibe. If I yelled at you right now, cut, left, and came back 15 minutes later, this would be a different interview.
I'd be crying on the side. Speaking of crying, I did some ugly cries while watching this. I cried while watching this. It's a mix of emotions, but I have to say, Margo, your performance in this movie is incredible. She will bring you to tears. We talk about Emmys. I can see some Oscar potential. I'm serious. You're so good in this.
You're so kind. It was like being there. We did it. I mean, it happened before our eyes that we just became a family, and it was very in the moment, in reality. I really had a hard time separating from what was happening. And I think we all felt that way.
That's so interesting that you say that, because with all your experience, for me, working with people at the sort of level that I was working with this time, I was sort of blown away by that. Like the fact that my reality kept blurring in and out. And I'd heard actors talk about that, but I'd never experienced it. Where I'm sitting at a scene and I'm watching someone that feels in that moment like I'm watching my mother go through something. It really messed with my head in a certain way, and it's interesting to...
Well, I don't think it happens
really
a lot.
Yeah.
No, I know on stage it happens maybe twice in a lifetime, and I've always felt that I come from very true reality, but this was something completely else.
And I will say, Margo and I will admit that we're huge criers. I'm crying right now just looking at you, Leigh. But no, I mean, to me, there was such a unbelievably palpable emotion going on the whole time, and that was good emotion and hard emotion when she did her really emotional stuff. But I will say that for me, not even as an actor that hasn't done as much as Margo or any actor, anybody who's in this business feels lucky to work with people like Margo and Richard, who have done such incredible work every single time.
It's because we're old.
No, not at all. That's not true at all. It's actually that they know how to do it. And what I mean by that is the most emotional scene, and I always tell the story, but the most emotional scene, and I got to say I cry every time watching it, which is weird because I was there and directed it, and people are like, pull yourself together, man. But she does this incredible scene. She does many incredible scenes, but there's one moment where I remember I set the day and I just said I can do a wide shot or I can do a close shot, whatever you feel, because sometimes people are like, I need to build up to it, and she said I want to go right now. It was like first shot, 7:30 in the morning, and she delivered one of the most powerful performances I've ever been a part of, if not the most powerful performance I've ever been there for. And I just looked around and said, please God, tell me the camera was on. But the bigger part of the story was then I moved away and covered all the other characters, and I just said, you could take a break, because it's a lot. So in the movie, you see her first take, but then everybody else who's emoting to her is because she went there every single take for all these other actors, which is totally not called for, and yet the people who really know what they're doing do it right every single time.
She's a pro. You are a pro.
Sweet. Thank you so much. So much.
I don't know if people realize that this movie is, Margo's character, Sally, has a brain tumor. And so you come home, your character, John. Hey, John, what's up?
Isn't that odd?
It is. It was a weird ego move.
Yeah.
No, it was in the script. It was a script by Jim Strauss.
It's John and Don and Ron.
John and Don and Ron, which is a pretty great. I like it. I thought it was funny. But no, it was written by Jim Strauss, who's an incredible writer who's done a bunch of different movies, like The Winning Season that Margo was in, and The Grace Is Gone, which is great. But what Jim does really, really well, I think, is, let's be honest, you've seen movies about families before. It's just true. And I certainly had seen movies before. I had signed on as an actor to this like 7 or 8 years ago. And I signed on so quickly because Jim is so unbelievable at taking hairpin turns between emotion and comedy, because that's real. He doesn't manipulate you into crying, and he doesn't really hit these hard laughs. He does what life does, which is you can't prepare for the bad times and you can't prepare for the good times. It just sort of happens. And so you feel this real reality to the scenes because he's writing very, very specifically. It's really awesome. So I give him all the credit for the emotion of the movie. We all cried reading the script, so.
His writing is so honest and simple, but incredibly surprising. Which makes it just so much fun to act. Yeah.
I was going to say there's tons of surprises. And I have to say your character, Charlotte, Ron, is quite the character. Like we said before with District 9, it's an completely opposite role. Tell me about getting into the character of Ron, who's kind of, he's in a rough place. Brothers aren't doing too well. They're trying to rekindle because you have been kind of absent in the family. Living in New York, living the dream like we always do. And here's your brother Ron just kind of going through a divorce.
It's funny. This was like a relatively normal character for me to take, but he is he is a little, he has issues. He's a middle-aged guy living at home. And he was kind of a fantastic warning signal to me in my own life of like, just whatever you do, don't make these kind of errors. It really was. It was one of the things I sort of finished the movie and I was like, dude, get married and just keep it together. Seriously. He loves his daughters. I mean, at the end of the day, he's got a really good heart. And that was what I loved about the character. I was like, this is a guy who really, went wrong, as most of us do. And maybe he went a little more wrong. But his heart hasn't gone wrong, And so his kind of ego moves in his life messed him up. And now he's left sort of with that having crumbled, just with his heart, and wanting his family back and wanting his life back and, going to some extreme measures at times to try and get them back. But
yeah, you have some great scenes with Josh Groban. I mean, Josh Groban is an interesting...
Josh and I became really good friends after that, funnily enough. He's really so good, man. He was just really perfect for the role. He plays a reverend who's trying to get, who's basically got together with my ex-wife. And he's like the perfect man and the perfect father to my 2 girls, which I love.
But wait, you have to hear Margo's story about this, because now they're best friends, but...
Sharlto said to me, who is this guy?
Oh,
He says he's got like how many million?
100 million followers?
100 million
Who is
followers.
this guy?
He said, really, is he kidding me? I said, you don't know who he is? It's Josh Groban.
Do you remember the trailer? Was it your birthday? The most embarrassing part with Josh was I didn't know, who he was before we started. That is true. But so I go in, I liked him, like energetically we got on. And so I think it was your birthday. Whose birthday was it? So we came into the trailer and I start singing Happy Birthday to Margo. And I'm like, I'm really going for it too. I'm like singing, and then I'm like, come on, Josh, you can join in, you can sing, you can help me. And he starts harmonizing, but I'm leading. Like he's just backing me up. I'm like, hey, he's not too bad. And then I text my producer in South Africa, who's like a massive Josh Groban fan. She's like, dude, you did not just do that. And she's sending me all texts of him like, oh, and I'm like, oh, jeez. I hope we get over this, but we did.
Poor Josh Groban. We all feel so bad for him, You worked with Josh, too, in The Office, correct?
I did, yeah. That's actually why I thought of him for this role immediately. Josh was amazing in The Office. And I remember Josh was only supposed to be there for 1 episode because he tours the world and was like probably in outer space when we cast him or something. And he was like, yeah, I can only be there. Well, my hologram can be there for 10 minutes. And then I directed I directed a couple, but the one I was directing, I said, we have to bring Ed Helms' brother back for this role. And he immediately said yes and was equally as good in that episode as he was before.
And before I toss it off to the audience, I have to bring up Charlie Day, who is also
oh my God.
He plays Margot's nurse in the movie, and he just has He's another one who is a scene stealer for
He's
sure.
really funny.
He's
isn't he?
amazing.
Boy, he's funny.
But had you met him before when you wanted to cast him? Or you
I had
saw
bumped into him a couple of times, but I've been a huge fan. I mean, Always Sunny is genius. I think that show is genius and has been genius. And so for me, he was one of those guys that when I called him, he's so sweet and confident and happy in his life that I said, "Do you want to do this?" And he called and he was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I read the script. Are you sure you want it to be me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he was like, "Okay." And then he showed up. Like, that was our conversation. And by the way, that wasn't meant to be an impression, and now I realize I kind of... Oh, Charlie, I'm so sorry. And he's texting me right now.
His voice is just funny, though. I mean,
It's amazing.
He's just effortless. He's like the most effortlessly funny guy. He doesn't have to do anything. He just looks at you and speaks, and everyone's laughing. You know, it's amazing to watch him.
Well, I think we have time for a few or no questions. We're out of time. I'm sorry, guys. I stole your time.
Boo. Oh, that didn't help. People are like, well, don't boo us.
They're like,
they're
like, you're hogging the stage. I'm sorry, guys. We could talk about this movie forever because there's things I didn't even touch on. But in order to know more, you have to go see the movie, which comes out, I think, next Friday.
August 26th. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being here.